AEW Blood and Guts was last night, and man, was it a fantastic show. I have a lot to talk about with Blood and Guts, but there's also some other pro wrestling news that I want to get into on this video. Stay tuned for all of that here on Screw the Script. Welcome back, everybody, to Screw the Script. I'm your host, Maverick, here. Thanks for joining me. And what a show we had last night. AEW Blood and Guts. I'm going to get into that first, and then we'll save some other pro wrestling stuff quick afterwards. But the main chunk of this video is going to be talking about the best Blood and Guts event to date. Kicking right off with it, we had the women's Blood and Guts match, which I'm going to just say it. It was better than the men's match. And that's not to downplay the men's match, because it was fan-fucking-tastic. Every single match, there was only 3 matches, but quality over quantity when it comes to Blood and Guts. Because the show was a special 2.5-hour episode of Dynamite, and guess what? It was damn near all wrestling. We only had one promo with FTR and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which I guess I'll get that out of the way real quick. It was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. It really puts FTR as heels still on the map, and we'll see where that goes. I was hearing rumors that they were supposed to introduce an AEW Hall of Fame. I actually covered that in my last video. It doesn't look like that's happening quite yet. Ric Flair was supposed to be on TV for Blood and Guts, but apparently I guess he had some sort of pain, some sort of body pain that he was dealing with. And so he wasn't on TV live, but he apparently was there pre-show talking to fans and doing whatever he was doing. It's okay. We still saw Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with FTR. Bro Dito came out to save Steamboat when FTR was about to take him out. Really good promo there. But let's talk about those matches. First, the women's match. I mean, every single match hit Blood and Guts. Right up here, before I talk more about the women's match, look at that. That is a resounding score. It's 148 votes in that photo. There's probably more now, but a 9.43. That is a really, really good score. That's a higher score than anything WWE has put out in 2025. And honestly, the women's match alone, I mean, graphic right up here, it's better than probably everything that Survivor Series is going to offer. You know, Blood and Guts matches are the TV 14 matches, and War Games is, War Games. It's watered down PG product. You're not going to see them go nearly as hard in the match as the women did, or the men. Certainly the women, though, because they had some crazy, interesting spots. I actually have 3 Maverick moments from Blood and Guts. Usually I only have 1 when I cover stuff like this, but I just couldn't go without doing 3. I have 1 for each match. So next we'll talk about the women's match in more detail. The women's match was incredible. Here's a photo of Statlander's back after the match. He's got welts and cuts everywhere. I mean, these ladies put it all on the table for us fans. They know what fans want in 2025 when it comes to pro wrestling, besides affordable ticket prices, which I have talked about that plenty of times now on my channel, but just quality, hardcore wrestling when needed. Blood and Guts should be a match that has blood. It should be a hardcore match for the sickos out there like you and I. War Games, it's going to be a shell of what this was. There's probably not going to be any bleeding, for one, unless it's accidental. And honestly, I think the biggest spots we'll probably see in the War Games matches at Survivor Series, since they're old men for one team, is maybe like a table spot, somebody, falling through somebody on a table from hanging up top. They'll probably do something that Darby Allin did in the men's match, where he did a coffin drop from the top of the cage. That'll probably be it. That'll probably be the biggest highlight from the War Games match. Otherwise, it'll just be regular spots with chairs, maybe kendo sticks, people getting driven through tables on the corner, stuff that you've seen countless and countless times. The women's match had so many unique spots, and that's why it was personally my favorite match of the night. You saw Julia Hart. She's small enough to crawl through one of the pillars of the cage to get out. You saw weapons being brought in from outside of the ring, and everyone started doing it. Mercedes Moné brought in like all of her belts, things like that. We saw an interesting spot with a glass mirror that just countered into Toni Storm by Marina Shafir, I believe it was. All kinds of unique spots. I mean, fucking Sky Blue was bleeding 5 minutes in. It was that insane. You're seeing praise left and right. Joey Janela up here, who's dating Megan Bayne. If you did not know that, if you weren't aware, he and Megan Bayne are together. He's got praise right there. I mean, look at that. It's crazy work ethic is what he goes on to say for Megan Bayne. Yes, that is very true. Between the two of them, they're a very busy couple, and she went all out. I mean, here's another photo right here. I'll have to black and white this one because YouTube pretty stingy when it comes to showing blood. So black and white photo here of, the proto star, Kyle Fletcher, shouting out his real life girlfriend, which is Sky Blue. She was just a fucking star in that match. God damn, she took a lot of crazy bumps. Like I said, fucking just spewing blood like Ric Flair does. 5 to 10 minutes into that match, it was insane. I mean, it was a packed show right up here. Before I get to my Maverick moment of that match, look at that. That is a packed show, affordable ticket prices. 2025 is AEW's year. They have had a resurgence, like I've said countless times on my channel, and Blood and Guts was arguably one of the best weekly episodes of Dynamite ever for the 6 years the company has been around. And it is going to be far superior than a PLE, may I add you, that's going to have ticket prices 3 to 4 times more for less. Like I said, the runtime for these 3 matches was almost 2 hours, almost 2 full hours of the 2.5. Literally, there was only time for commercial breaks and one maybe 5 to 10 minute ring promo. That is it. The exact opposite's going to happen at Survivor Series, and you know that. There will be, I think there's 4 matches announced for it. It'll be a 3-hour show, and somehow, some way, half of it will be ads and promos and bullshit like we've seen before. This is my Maverick moment for the women's match.
Figure 4 with the barbed wire bat, and we're in Flair country here.
Yes, sir.
The bat into the flesh of the Megasis. And now, Shafir, look at this, stepping on the glass, and oh my gosh.
Isn't that insane? Like, just a crazy spot. I mean, you got the figure 4 with the barbed wire bat, and then Marina Shafir stomps glass into her fucking foot and then kicks Mina right in the chest. Like, that is just brilliant, unique, clever spots that was really well done by the women. So, round of applause to you women. You put your bodies on the line for all of us fans, and you gave us the best match of the night, in my opinion. Now, the match in between the Blood and Guts matches was Hangman versus Will Hobbs, and it was better than I thought it would be. I thought it was just going to be a cool down, quick, 5 to 10 minute match. It went over 10 minutes. I think it was about 15 minutes, actually, and it was really good. Will Hobbs deserves praise here. He is a powerhouse, hence the nickname, and he shined in this match. Even though Hangman did come out on top, just a really good match through and through. In between matches, I can't praise Hangman enough. I think his second title run is so much better than his first. And at the end of the match, after he won, Samoa Joe, all those guys started to jump him, and then he eventually got the upper hand, asked the cage to be lowered. Samoa Joe did anyway, but he got the upper hand eventually, and then he, in a great promo with so much emotion, challenged Samoa Joe for a 3rd time title match inside a steel cage. AEW does steel cage matches better, and that is just a fact. This is my Maverick moment from that match.
Start! And the boot into the face. No, don't! Through the electrical table.
Quite the shocking ending, But yes, Hangman comes out victorious in a really, really fun 15-minute Falls Count Anywhere match. Now on to the main event, the men's Blood and Guts match. Like I said, it was really, really, really good as well. Just, I think the women's match was better. Nonetheless, you had crazy, spots like this right up here. I mean, you had Moxley getting flicked off while he had not only just a headlock, but with his chain on Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly shined in this match, much like Sky Blue did in the women's match. Kyle O'Reilly deserves praise. He deserves a push after the shit that he went through in this match. Just brutal. And you got people complaining already about this night. There's people on the internet you can find left and right saying, oh my god, why did the women do that? Why would they put themselves through that? That is not ladylike. Of fucking course you'll get that from E-stands who support TKO and WWE, who want to marginalize women actually and restrict them, hence why they have the fucking Saudi bullshit. So don't get me going on that. You even have people like this right up here. This guy goes, so Kyle O'Reilly makes Mox tap while Darby is nowhere to be seen during the finish? This guy is idiot of the week. The response is hilarious. Maybe because he went through a flaming fucking table, yeah. Which brings me to my Maverick moment of this match.
On fire! Look at this up on top! Look at that! Oh my god!
Yeah, just unbelievable. And it's funny that it didn't happen in the ring. But just an insane spot. And the flame stayed on Darby for a couple of seconds. He probably did suffer a first degree, possibly second degree burn on his lower back. But Darby is the toughest son of a bitch I've ever seen in pro wrestling since Mick Foley. And he is just one crazy son of a bitch. That's all I really have to say on Darby Allin. I got all three matches right tonight. I forgot to mention the Tekla team with Mercedes won the women's. I got that right. I predicted Hangman to win, but I feel like everybody expected that. And then I did predict the conglomeration and Darby Allin to win. And I truly feel like we are seeing the end of Jon Moxley anyway with the Death Riders. I feel like he's going to get just cut to the side. He's probably going to get jumped in the next week or so by his own crew because they see him as a weak link. He tapped out to this. He quit in the I Quit match to Darby Allin. It's not looking good for Jon Moxley ever since he lost that title. But hey, long-term storytelling, Darby Allin, when he came back to help Hangman beat Moxley, he said that he was back to take everything from Jon Moxley, and that is exactly what he's doing. He lost his belt. He said, I quit to Darby. He tapped out in the Blood and Guts match, and now he's probably going to lose his faction. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below on the Blood and Guts matches, just the event as a whole. I think it was near perfect, and like I said, the best Blood and Guts event so far for AEW's short 6-year run. Now on to some other pro wrestling news. We got two quick things that I want to talk about with WWE. We saw John Cena on Raw. It was actually a pretty good episode of Raw, surprisingly. He won the first time ever he won the Intercontinental title. He beat Dominic Mysterio, which happened after a great promo, a really, really good, fun match. The crowd engagement was perfect for it. And John Cena is finally a Grand Slam champion. It took him forever, but he finally accomplished it. So I did want to shout out WWE because, again, my channel isn't made to just bash and bash and bash on them. I'm just pointing out the fact that they've had a really rough 2025, and most of what they've done this year, I don't like. I don't agree with. But things like that, I did want to praise that, so congrats to John Cena on winning that. The only thing that I have about this, though, is that it makes me kind of feel, in my gut, it feels like Dominic Mysterio is just going to win that tournament now to be John Cena's last opponent and to regain his title nonetheless, and it would just give him nuclear heel heat. So that could be the plan. If they don't land Edge, I feel like that is the second best option you can go with at this point. Still far lower than getting Edge, but I would be okay with that. And then lastly, real quick, right up here, according to Dave Meltzer, so take it with a grain of salt, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are expected to return on Raw next week, live from Madison Square Garden. Possible War Games shakeup. You see here, this could be the teams for War Games at Survivor Series. But like I said, look at those teams for this men's War Games match. That is all very, very old people. I think the youngest person there There's one young guy, two, Breaker and Logan Paul, I think are the only two that are under 30. Everyone else is not even just in their 30s. They're high 30s, in their 40s. CM Punk's pushing 50, so is John Cena. Brock Lesnar as well. Drew McIntyre, I think, is mid-40. Like, you get the point. This match is not going to be as good as either of the Blood and Guts matches because half of the competitors in this match are going to be gassed 5 minutes in. It's not going to go a fraction of the length. The men's War Games match was like 54 minutes total in length. This will probably be half of that. I'll give it maybe half an hour tops. And like I said, the bumps that we'll see, the spots that we'll see will be very watered down to Blood and Guts. Now on to the last bit of pro wrestling news, back to AEW. Very exciting and interesting stuff here. AEW could potentially be set to introduce a new show to their content lineup with multiple potential names emerging. As they filed trademark for these names, we've got AEW Fire, AEW Blitz, AEW Firestorm, AEW Tidal Wave. These could be special events maybe. Maybe it could be a new show. There's really not much else to go off of this, but knowing that they just filed trademarks for those 4 names, you let me know down below your predictions on where they're going to go with that. My guess is AEW Blitz will probably be some special like Dynamite or Collision episode or both right around the Super Bowl. Like in February, and they'll refer it to Blitz, some like football related name. Tidal Wave could be like a new summer sort of thing going on. I'm not sure, but that's kind of just where I'm going at with these. But like I said, let me know in the comments. That's all I had in this episode of Screw the Script. Like I said, Blood and Guts was fantastic. I want to know all of your thoughts on the show. Just let me know down in the comments. I try and respond to everybody when I can. I enjoy engaging with all of you guys. It's very fun to talk pro wrestling. And let me know again, like I said, on the other things that I shared in this video. Your thoughts on Cena being a Grand Slam champ finally. Your thoughts on the trademarks that AEW trademarked recently. And any other thing that you may want to talk about or even ask me. I have people ask me stuff in comments, and it's an interesting reminder sometimes, like, hey, I will talk about that in a future video. So if you want me to talk about certain things in future videos, just let me know in the comments. And if it gets a lot of likes from other people, then it's clearly something that a lot of people want my opinion on. So I will do that. As always, this has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.